Welcome to the RPG Rundown. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Seth. And from dungeons to deep space, we've got the systems and stories for your table. Today, on episode 3 of the RPG Rundown, we are on our first review episode.
Yes.
We are going to be discussing our Dragonbane playtest and break down our likes, our dislikes, confusions that we may have had, and compare it to other tabletop RPGs out there as well. But first, we have a little bit of news about Dragonbane, and so that's what we're going to share today. Not a whole lot, but Jeff, let us know what's coming.
Yeah, so Dragonbane has officially released their hardback rulebook and bestiary, which looks absolutely amazing. I know before we started recording, Seth already said he's definitely buying it. And so it comes with it'll come with the PDF and everything as well, but it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, and actually they are taking pre-orders, and it should be delivered in January. So
nice.
But the PDF is delivered immediately, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
The rule book is going to come with the same rules that is in the box that we're going to talk about in a second, but it does include a new adventure, and then the bestiary, along with like 65 new monsters and NPCs, is going to have 9 new kin, which is what Dragonbane uses for races. And then they each have their own.
Which is awesome.
Yes, and they each have their own custom abilities because there's a kin ability there. So,
which is one of the things I really liked about
Dragonbane
is the kin all actually felt different, right?
They
had like extremely different movements. They each had their own actual like abilities and special perks and stuff that they get. So 9 new ones sounds really exciting.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that here in just a second. But you can get those pre-orders at dragonbane-rpg.com. And like I said, set to arrive in 2024. I am definitely going to get it, but because I live in the U.S. and it is a Swedish company, I have to make sure my bank does not block it. So note to anyone else out there. So, but yeah. But first, let's go ahead and dive in, and we're going to read the description for Dragonbane, and then we're going to jump into our review. We did play a one-shot playtest. You can check that out on our... That is not going to be posted as a podcast, but you can check it out on our YouTube channel, which is Rundown Actual Plays.
It's our rap channel.
It's our rap channel. Yes, Rundown Actual Plays. So look for that on YouTube. You might be able to find it if you search for the RPG Rundown, but it is our handle is at Rundown Actual Plays. So check it out. It's a 2-3 hour session, but it was a lot of fun. We do talk about what's in the box.
Absolutely.
We also talk about we have kind of a impromptu interview at the end with the players, talking about things that we liked about the system as well. So be sure to check
and keep in mind
out.
it is also very much an actual play. So we are asking questions. We are going over rules in the session. So
a learning actual play.
It's a learning actual play, and so. One of the guys actually from my D&D group, he got the notice that he was playing that day because the other guy that was going to play ended up having some internet issues, and so my buddy had to jump in, and so he learned it basically on the spot. So
yeah,
kind of a testament to the game, really.
Everyone did great, and that's part of the review process that we will be, using moving forward. Is we want to test it ourselves to see how easy is it to run, how easy is it to learn. Stuff like that. So we're going to get into that now. So, Jeff, let us know, what is Dragonbane?
Yeah. So You kind of hit it a minute ago that it's a Swedish game as well. So there's a chance that you're here and you've never heard of Dragonbane. So I'm going to read to you exactly what they say that Dragonbane is. It says that it is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game full of magic, mystery, and adventure. It is designed from the ground up to facilitate fast and furious play with very little prep time and adventures that are a breeze to run. Well, we'll ask you about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Dragonbane is actually a translation of Drakar ok Demoner, Scandinavia's first and biggest tabletop RPG, originally launched in 1982. The new and reimagined edition has one foot firmly planted in the heritage of decades of Swedish gaming, and the other in the modern and innovative game design for which Free League Publishing is known worldwide. So
Yeah.
that is what they say about it. I admit it at times did feel fast and furious. I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to hear more from you about what it was prep time and how it was to run. We're going to dive into that in today's review. But first thing I want to look at is like if you actually purchase this, you get the box of goodies. Now I don't have it in my hands,
Absolutely.
but I know that Seth does. So what exactly is in the box?
Absolutely. So I have the core box, which is pretty good size. It's got some good weight to it, and it literally comes with everything you need. So there is a core bundle, which has the only other thing that it has besides. So it comes with the box, but it also comes with a premium DM screen and an extra set of dice. So you get 2 sets of dice because one comes in the box, and then you get a premium DM screen. And so that's the big difference in that.
Mm.
However, in the box, you do get a set of dice, and it comes
Yeah.
with 2 D20 because it is a D20 system.
Now I'm going to be like everyone else here, Seth.
Yes.
I've got dice everywhere. What is different about Dragonbane dice?
So the only real difference about these Dragonbane specific dice is that it has Dragonbane is a D20 system, but it is a roll under system, meaning that instead of rolling over an AC to hit a bad guy, or instead of rolling over an ability check, you have to roll under. And so it actually handles the roll under very easily. It's very easy to understand. It is not difficult. But so these dice have something on the 1 and on the 20. And so they call rolling a 1, which is critical failure in D&D, it is critical success in Dragonbane. They call it rolling a dragon. And rolling a 20, which is critical success in D&D, but it is a critical failure in Dragonbane, they call it rolling a demon.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. Otherwise, they're just standard D20 in a set.
And the Dragonbane dice on the D20, it actually has like a little demon on the 1 mark,
It does,
or
and
a
like
demon on the 20 mark, and a dragon on the 1. Yeah.
It's a really cool little design. So also in the box, we've got some card decks. We've got a deck of treasure, as well as there's some initiative cards. We also have adventure cards, and there's also some prizes and loot cards in here as well. But yeah, so and then like I said, there's initiative cards as well, which we used. There are some pretty premium cardboard standees for monsters and characters alike, and that comes with little plastic stands for them as well. And then, of course, it comes with here are the standees, by the way. So,
Nice.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
There's some big ones. There's like some dragons and
So yeah, like
other
I'm a
big
3D
things.
printer guy, and all my crew, we have 3D printers and stuff. But I love the little cardboard guys. They're so like
Yeah.
detailed.
I love that they include them. I mean,
Yes, it's really nice.
it's a big deal. Obviously, there are some character sheets, blank and pre-generated. There is the adventure module.
Hmm.
There is also the rule book.
Nice.
And then there are two maps. There is a map of the world, and then there is a double-sided foldable map that at one side is like a castle floor, like a stone floor, and it's just a square grid, and the other side is grass, so that you can, and I believe that they're wet erase maybe, so you can just draw on it, but you can definitely, if not draw on it, then you can definitely, put some little like paper craft, like buildings and trees and stuff like that. So
nice. Okay.
very
I
cool.
like that.
Very cool.
Always nice to get extra maps and stuff.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, the box comes with everything you need. You don't need anything else. Now, like I said, the new stuff coming out, comes with a few extra things, and I'm super looking forward to that because I definitely want to run this again sometime.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. So that's what's in the box. Everything you need and very easy to navigate. But yeah, let's see. First of all, how do we like the art and overall layout of like the rulebook and stuff? Personally, big fan of the art.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the exact same thing. I really, really like the art. I mean, I don't know. It has everything feels like on brand. All the
Oh,
image,
yeah.
I'm actually have it over here. I'm looking at all of it has a very similar like age, and it has a very similar like color tone and stuff. Like I'm also a graphic designer, so I'm going specifically on like the
Same.
design, and
Same.
it looks fantastic. I love the art in it. I really do. Um, it
Yeah.
definitely fits the vibe of the gameplay as well.
Oh, 100%.
Hmm.
But yeah, the entire art aesthetic is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
And so it's really good. But yeah, so let's kind of get into the system. We said it was a D20,
Mhm.
but it's a roll under system. And again, um, you know, how easy was it coming from like D&D 5e? How easy was it to understand the rules here for you?
Yeah, and this is something we talked about at the end of our actual play. Like I truly felt like this was like 100 times easier to understand,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I always have to like go over with my players, and because my in-person group, no one has ever played before except myself and one of the guys actually played with us when I first started. Like we're the only ones who have ever played, and so I'm at a table with 8 other people that's never played, and trying to like explain modifiers, and you add this modifier plus
Hmm.
this modifier plus your dice roll, like it's just. Whereas in
Yeah.
in Dragonbane, you based on whatever your ability score is, you get what's called a base chance, and if you're proficient in that or skilled, maybe is what they call it, you just
Right.
double the base chance, and now you're just rolling under the base chance. No modifiers. You have a number on your character sheet, and if you
Yeah.
roll your dice and it lands under it, you succeed. It's
Yeah.
just
You do roll for ability
that concept's so
scores.
easy.
You
Yeah,
do roll for
you do that.
ability scores, but that basically just puts you on the map to what your thing is. And so there's only
Hmm.
5 different ones, maybe something like that for
Uh,
those base chances,
yeah, six.
because it's a
So,
range 6. Okay, yeah.
mhm,
So it's
yeah,
not. It's
yeah. So you have
pretty
six,
easy to
and
understand.
you roll them like you normally do, 4d6, remove the lowest one,
Yeah, for the
and then you get
abilities.
to yeah. You roll it like yeah. So you get those abilities, then based on whatever your score is in that ability, the rule book tells you what to go off of. You get a certain base chance. So
Yeah,
say if you rolled a 16, your base chance is going to be a 7. If you're skilled in that particular area, you just get to double it. So now it's a 14, and so you're trying to roll under 14.
yeah,
It's I don't know. To me, like that, just the whole and let's be honest, rolling dice is like the biggest game part the game mechanic there is.
yeah,
And so the actual like rolling the dice and knowing when you succeed and when you fail, it's to me that was very simple. We did have a little bit of pushback from one of the players too. Is like, is it too simple? Is it something that you would kind of get bored of? Um,
Well, and I think that part of why they went with this roll under,
mhm.
other than the fact that it was part of the system they had previously, I think they refined it
Yeah.
for this new version. But part of the reason is that it puts a cap on how difficult it is to roll.
Hmm.
Because in D&D 5e, if you have a particularly like if you have a difficult enemy that you're facing and they're wearing plate armor and have a shield, then you're already trying to hit him at a 20. You have to roll a 20 in order to hit them. And that's all. That's you can get that at level 1. You can be facing that at level 1.
Right.
You know, hopefully not all the time, but it can go up from there exponentially. To where you know, if you have like a big boss or creature, you could have to roll a 22 or a 23 or 24 potentially to do that. With a roll under, you're capped. Like, it's not going to get any harder than like the very like base, which is usually going to be like 6 or 8, you know.
And which is something that also just makes more sense to me from a full like immersion idea is like if I'm firing my bow, is my ability to hit really determined by how good your armor is? Like, if your armor is a 20 and I roll an 18, does that mean I just miss you entirely? When in reality, what I should be rolling against is my skill, you know?
Right.
Like, and so, like, that's one thing I liked about the roll under is, like, you know, I was running a bow character, and his score at bow, I have it right here, is a 14. If I roll under a 14, then I hit my target. Now, maybe his armor blocks some of the damage, which I think they call soak, but maybe it removes some of the damage that I did, but I did still hit. That was my ability to hit. To me, just from a playing standpoint, it made sense.
Well, and another element that which we'll get into is the ability to dodge, parry, or block are 3 key things that you have to choose to do as a player.
Yeah.
Or even as, you know, the DM having to do with certain enemies, not all enemies. Because monsters or bosses are treated differently than like common enemies, which we'll talk about in a minute. But well, let's move back a little bit. How easy or difficult was character creation, and what did you think of it?
Okay, I'm gonna out myself really, really hard, real quick. I had never created a TTRPG character without a online helper. So like D&D Beyond, and so this is like my first time creating it with just like paper and pencil. Like I'm a new age TTRPG player, guys. Okay, bear with me, but maybe that's helpful. So I had to like go through, and I'm like, oh, I actually have to write out all my stuff, which to me was a little bit difficult, just figuring out where actually
you
everything
probably
needs
also
to
had
go.
to go read it and find it in the book to know.
Oh, absolutely.
What is this
I kept having to flip
ability
back
do?
and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to like keep flipping back and forth, and I'm like, okay, so like even in your inventory, when you choose your profession, you choose a set, or you can roll for a set of gear. But some of the gear goes in your inventory, and some of it goes in like tiny items, and so I had to like just little things that, you know. But otherwise, like creating the character to me was actually really, really simple. Like pretty much all your information came from like 3 choices. It was like your kin, your profession, and then your ability scores, and everything else just kind of fell in place. But even in the rulebook itself, it has a step-by-step instruction to do it in like this order. It's like you step 1, step 2, step 3, and you just follow it down. And when you hit step 13, you're done. And all the steps can be rolled for too, so you can have a completely random character if you want it.
Absolutely. And part of the thing too, and this is something that Free League Publishing does with all of their TTRPGs, because I've played several of them. I've played Forbidden Lands, which one of their primary developers on Forbidden Lands is the one that helped renew Dragonbane from the old version to the new version. And so there's a lot of modern elements that they used for Forbidden Lands in here, which is great. And then also their Mutant Year Zero engine, which is what they use for Tales from the Loop and Mutant Year Zero and some others like that. In the character creation, they have these tables of 3 things to choose from. But in the rules, it says these are suggestions. You can choose from here. You can roll on this table, or you can make up your own. And they're really big on emphasizing that in the rules, that you're not limited by what they give you. This is just an easy way to choose it, which it was. And it
Yeah.
still gave us plenty of options. I felt like I don't feel like anyone was complaining that they didn't like, you know, all the options given. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
I do like that. So, okay, so let's move on to the combat. How was the combat for Dragonbane?
Um, Coming over from a strictly 5e person, it was hard. I mean, it was
Was the
gritty, which
combat hard,
was
or was
fun.
it the combat hard because you were having to continue to to do the whole roll under thing?
No, no. So no, it wasn't difficult to understand. It was very simple to understand.
Okay, okay,
What I'm meaning is like it just felt like there was a much higher chance of death, and we had to think a little,
it's
like
true.
quite a bit more strategic, and we had to like really like because you have an option you mentioned earlier, parry and dodge, and like all these like you can completely, avoid damage. But if you do so, you used your action for that turn. And so,
Yeah,
say one of the goblins was about to attack me, I can in turn choose to dodge. And then I'm rolling to see if I can dodge. And I'm trying to roll under my ability to dodge, which I forget which score it is, but I'm rolling under that. And if I do that, I completely avoid all damage. But now when it comes to my turn, I no longer get an action. That was my action.
it's true.
And so
Every
it was, yeah.
round, you only
Hmm.
get one action, and that can be saved for a
Hmm.
reaction, or it can be used. But yeah, if you've already used an action in your turn on that particular round, then you don't get a reaction and you don't get the
Yep.
ability to do that. But if you
Yeah,
haven't
so you can't
gone and you
dodge.
go later, yeah, then you can't dodge. So then
Yeah.
you're relying on your armor to soak up some damage. You're relying on maybe friends
Hmm.
to assist because
Yeah.
you can do
Do
that
something.
too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt like you said, there was definitely a more urgent feeling for damage
Hmm.
and the threat of damage and
Hmm.
possibly death. It definitely felt more important.
Right.
Um, but it also didn't feel overpowered like when you play like a level 1 character in D&D and
Hmm.
you're worried about getting like it wasn't like overpowered in the sense of like, oh, this goblin is going to hit me one
Hmm.
time and kill my sorcerer because I have 8 hit
Right.
points. It wasn't like that because
Yeah, no, it wasn't that
almost
bad.
because in part of the reason I felt like it didn't feel as bad is because you could choose to dodge,
Dodge. Yeah.
or you could choose, or maybe you have armor, kind of
Hmm.
thing. So because you have that ability, I didn't quite feel as limited to like 5e in that like, well, I'm just got to take the hit, My
Right.
armor class is 11 because I'm in robes.
Yeah.
That's so but I feel
It
like it's
did leave
good.
you. It definitely left you putting a lot more thought into what was actually happening. Because, like you said, in D&D, it's like, okay, I'm going to take the hit to the face. That's all I could do. But now I'm over here thinking, like,
Hmm.
oh man, my sorcerer's in trouble. I can
It
dodge,
makes
but if I
you
dodge, I can't help.
it makes you work together as a
Yeah.
party better, I think, too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's better to help each other out. So I thought that was good. Healing and magic also. What was your thoughts on that?
The so I did not play a magic user. I wanted to. I ended up kind of changing my mind last minute and said so. One of our other guys did, and he played it. I don't recall much about the magic. The healing. I don't know if we didn't have a healer or what, but the
He
healing
did
seemed
play
obsolete.
as the so he played. I mean, we only had one combat encounter
Hmm.
for this
Right. Yeah.
playtest, and it was fairly simple, but it was nice in that it introduced us to
Mhm.
all the elements of it
Yeah. It did.
because we had some basic enemies and then we had kind of a boss enemy, which was a monster, and the monster stat blocks are so good. I mean, seriously,
Oh
like
man.
Wizards
Yeah.
of the Coast could learn something from the monster stat blocks
Hmm.
because it's all about flavor, but also all their abilities are about flavor, and so it's not just bite, scratch, tail.
Right.
or
Yeah.
bite, bite, bite. It's not just like three things. I mean, like in D&D, a dragon is like, they have a breath weapon, but then it's just like
Mhm.
bite, scratch, wing attack, maybe.
Right.
It's very, yeah. This was really cool.
There's one reason I'm
And
really excited for the bestiary. Like I can't wait to
oh
see all the
yeah,
monsters and stuff in
well,
that
and
and what they're
again,
gonna do.
what's really awesome about the monster stat blocks? So the regular NPC stat blocks, so for like goblins, was
Mhm.
a standard kind of NPC stat block. It
Mhm.
had an armor class, it had abilities, it had weapon attacks, and it told you what to do with them. For the monsters, even the boss was like a goblin on a warg,
Mhm.
right? So it was
Yeah.
just a goblin, but that was riding a warg. But it counted it as one unit and it was considered a monster. And
Mhm.
instead, you have like 12 abilities or 8 abilities, and you can, like, they have numbers on them, so you can roll to see which ability it uses.
Mhm.
And they encourage that, or you can choose. So that was also really cool, too, is that
Right.
as a DM, I could take the decision making off of myself and just have the attacks and abilities that the monster uses be
Mhm.
completely on the dice, and then it's just RNG as far as like
Mhm.
how combat goes. And that's another thing too, is that when a monster uses an ability, they don't roll to hit. It just happens. And so
Yeah. The only way
again,
to avoid it is to dodge.
that's the important
Yep.
part of having armor, being able to
Mhm.
dodge or block or parry. And then even then, sometimes monsters can or can't do some of those things.
Mhm. So well, I'm giving an example because I just pulled up a monster here just to kind of explain the difference. Because I think a lot of times when we're saying monster, like because when I first heard, okay, monsters always hit, I'm like, that's insane. Because I'm thinking a goblin always hits, a kobold always hits, an orc always hits, but like monsters, like a troll is a monster. And so there's a difference in NPCs and monsters. Most of our small things we'd fight, your goblins, your kobolds, like they're just NPCs.
Yeah.
But a monster, like this is one of the monster attacks that the troll gets. Because you can, if someone wants to look it up, I know I've ran trolls before. There's only a couple attacks they do, but one of the attacks here is troll vomit, and it just says the troll clears its throat with a thunderous rumble, coughs from deep in its lungs, and vomits up a cascade of bile and stinking swamp water. All adventurers within 6 meters suffer a condition of their choice. And so the condition, it goes in onto your character sheet and you mark it down. And so your conditions, it's not just like we have exhausted, but like in this, they're like if you want to give yourself a condition on strength, it's called exhausted. A condition
Yeah.
on constitution, it's sickly. But there's one for everything. And so now each character that's near it suffers one condition. And so essentially they have disadvantage on any rolls using that ability score. And so like I don't know, that to me is just it's super cool. The monsters in this game are awesome.
They really are.
Hmm.
And also other things within it are fantastic as well. I mean, like we talked about armor and weapons. Armor and weapons all have um, a better flavor and feel to them. Like all the weapons they'll have like special abilities on the weapons. I know D&D is looking at doing this for their weapon mastery system in the future, but
Okay, yeah.
like this is fantastic. Also, a lot of those things have some durability, and there's a couple of rules. It's not game breaking, it's not hard, but they have some things like that. Um, Also, too, the system does have advantage and disadvantage. It calls it boons, which are advantages,
Hmm.
and banes. But there is also help actions where you can get like a dice added, well, actually subtracted, not added. But
Right.
in
Yeah.
addition to your normal roll, you can subtract a dice
Hmm.
as well, which is pretty awesome.
That's all. Yeah.
But yeah, the monster stat blocks are so good, and like I said, they all usually have at least 6 abilities, so you can roll a d6, and yeah, and get an
Interesting one,
ability
yeah.
and keep it random. So I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Which is something too. Like I know it kind of sounds like we're like bashing D&D, but I think it's our best term of comparison. But this is definitely something like I could see for the most part. Obviously, taper it or make it fit your game, but you can actually still use this bestiary and bring it into your 5e games,
Oh,
right? Like my
100%.
trolls may never be ran the same again in my
Absolutely.
5e games.
Well, and because like, for example, here's a Minotaur, okay?
Hmm.
And the Minotaur has a ferocity, which is kind of like the CR. Or no, excuse me, ferocity is like how many attacks it gets.
Yeah,
So it gets
which
two
is
attacks.
cool
It's
per round.
large. It has a movement of 16, which again, there's a little bit difference of measurement because it's a
Hmm.
Swedish
It's a Swedish.
Europe,
Yeah,
but then it's like hit
everything's
points
in
30,
meters.
32, right?
Yeah.
And it has a two-handed axe. So, but yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, like, uh, here I'll
That's
show
actually
this real
a
quick.
really good something to hit on as well. Monsters actually have like the ferocity, and so they get two
Yeah,
initiatives or three initiatives, whatever the ferocity is. So they get to go like they may go on the first initiative, they may go on the fourth initiative, and then could go again on the fifth initiative, and just different ways that they're kind of sprinkled in through. But the initiative actually changes every round. So
yeah.
you have initiative cards, and they get dealt out each round, and so the initiative changes. It's not always the same order
Mm-mm.
which is kind of a neat way to mix it up. I don't know like a quick way to bring that into my games, but it's a cool idea.
Yeah, um, I do like that. I really
Hmm.
do, honestly.
It just
I
I
do.
think it keeps it from being so monotonous.
It
It
really
just
does
mixes it up a little
because,
bit.
well, and then there was a couple of times when somebody failed at something at a check and they were last in the initiative, no matter
Yeah.
what. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
so again, we talked about it. It does have maps. It does have tokens. Part of that too. But yeah, let's move on here. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
so, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think it'd be good if at this point we go and hit the DM side of things, which is
Yes.
Seth was our DM, so he ran it, and so the claim to fame here, what they're claiming is that it is has very little prep time, and the adventures are a breeze to run. So Seth, what did you think? Was the adventure easy to prepare, easy to run?
Yeah, absolutely. It really wasn't difficult. I mean, like, I read through it all ahead of time, but um, but then we kind of had to postpone it a week, so I was actually had to remember some of it, and
Mhm.
so even just going through it with everyone there, the way the adventure works was just really easy, honestly. Um,
Nice.
And so it's nice because it has boxes that say use the adventure cards, use the map, use this section is for the GM's eyes only.
Mhm.
Um and then there's like, GM versions of the maps that are there with labels, whereas in some of the other stuff there's just player maps, so there's no labels, there's no names for the towns or the landmarks and stuff like that. But in the adventure book, there is. There's histories. There's, um, you know, some good. Like I said, the adventure cards add an element of RNG to what direction a campaign may take, which is pretty cool. And so
Okay.
I can see them adding this later, like another deck of adventure cards for like new adventure modules they put out, because essentially you can manually choose what adventure you want, like which adventure location you want your players to run and run it on rails, or you can do it
Mhm.
at sandbox style and say, uh, you know, this is the next place that you've come across, or you could have three to choose from. I mean, you could do it however you want, but
Right.
it's very cool. Um, And so yeah,
So,
it's as far as how the book is written and laid out,
mhm.
very easy to run. It really is.
So could you use? I know a lot of people like running the adventures out of the book, but a lot of the people just like to make their own stuff up and kind of homebrew everything. Could you use some of the build like the adventures that are put there? How easy would it be to homebrew your own campaign and use Dragonbane and the material given?
Oh, absolutely easy. The way the system works is quite easy to understand. We talked about character creation and stuff like that, and they encourage it. They even have a kind of their own version of an OGL. They don't call it an OGL, but they have their own version that says, make and sell even
Okay.
adventures for Dragonbane.
Oh, nice.
And
All
they'll
right.
give you like a little logo to put it under and stuff like that. But yeah, it has the capability to be used in whatever setting you want to put it in, with
Okay.
whatever homebrew stuff you want to add. Um, but like I said too, I am excited um, for the bestiary
Hmm.
because I
Absolutely.
want to see more examples of monsters and NPCs because I
Yeah.
want to
Me
be
too.
able to get a better understanding so that I can create my own.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a million stat blocks for D&D, you know,
Hmm.
but
Oh, yeah.
I like the abilities and I want to see more examples of them so that I can say, oh, I'm going to create this monster and
Hmm.
I like this ability, and then oh, I saw this other ability, and then I make one up, and I combine it to make my own table of abilities for that character or for
Yeah.
that
That's
monster,
yeah. And that's
which is
that's
fantastic.
awesome. I mean, I love the bestiary. I love the monsters in this. Like still one of my longest running Patreon subscriptions is to a Patreon. That's all they do is they create custom monsters and they give you the stat blocks and the tokens and everything. It's called Questiary, and I love it. They do
Yeah,
some similar stuff actually to the Dragonbane monsters,
I need to
so
look into
it's kind
that
of cool.
because I remember
It's
using
very good.
some with you previously, and I really
Mhm.
liked it. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
the adventure module also have really great stats for NPCs, like NPCs that they're going to
Okay.
find and roleplay with, and they're just little quarter page stat blocks with a description, and it's fantastic. And again, the
Mhm.
art style is just so good. I love it.
It really is.
Um, and some of it, it's like they're fantastic and cheeky and silly. Like there's a character in the adventure module named Barryton Chubby Cheeks. You know, uh,
I love it.
he's a halfling and he's a baker. It's
Oh,
fantastic. I
that's so
love it.
good.
So yeah, it's really good. But yeah, again, tips and instructions for DMs are really easy to understand. I think it's fantastic. Let's talk about some of the special features, though. We talked a little bit about it being a roll under. We talked a little bit
Mhm.
about Banes and Boons. One of the features that Free League Publishing has, though, is something called pushing a roll.
Oh, yeah.
How did you like that, and
Mhm.
what do you think?
Yeah, so it's pushing a roll is like a last ditch effort at success. Say you failed something that's really important that you really need to succeed on, you can now choose to push it, where you get to roll again. You essentially you get a boon on the roll,
Mm-hmm.
but you are going to take a condition somewhere, and so it actually it says you get to choose the condition you take, but you have to be able to make it make RP sense.
Yeah.
And so, say I push a roll, I could then take the condition of exhausted because I put so much work into it. Now, until I rest again, I have a bane on all strength related checks. But you get that option to just take that last ditch effort, get the extra roll, and try one last time for success. I love it. I thought it was such a cool mechanic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is I'm gonna show on the screen here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna show the on the character sheet. This is a pre-generated character sheet for a human mage. And it's so if you're watching the video on YouTube or maybe Spotify, I'm not sure where the VODs are. But it under there is a different um condition for each ability. So for strength, it's exhausted. For con, it's sickly. Agility, which is like dexterity, it's dazed. Intelligence is angry. Willpower is scared, and charisma is disheartened. And so, like you said, you as the player get to choose which condition you take as long as it makes sense for the story, for the RP, for the role play. And so you can, if strength is your best stat, then you don't want to exhaust yourself. Mm-hmm. But maybe you get angry because your intelligence is low. And, maybe you're not going to roll something on intelligence, and so you want to do that. But I love that. I love that it is specific to each stat, because then the downside is that has an effect almost like exhausted and D&D has, but if you're angry, it affects you. There's a mechanic to it, and so those are really cool. So yeah, and then again too, there is armor. You can have armor and helmets, both, which is pretty awesome, or maybe just a helmet. And it has things that affect you, like maybe your awareness. If you're wearing a helmet, you can't see as well. And then willpower points, which are what you spend for abilities and checks, and then hit points. So
willpower points basically count as like your spell slots, right? It's when you're casting spells, you're going to use a certain amount of willpower points.
Every class, every profession.
Every class uses it too.
So
yeah. That's how I thought was really cool. It was like a universal currency that everybody uses and everybody needs.
Yes. So I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then
I've always wanted to bring something like that into my 5e
and then
game.
What's another cool special feature is that everyone can regain willpower points in combat, even if they use their action to take just a short rest. So my example that I gave in the game, it's called a round rest. My example in the game was that, I'm going to run over behind this rock, and I'm going to take a second to prepare my next action, and you kind of get some of those willpower points back. So anyway,
it's like 1d6 too, so it's not like a tiny amount.
No, it was a lot of fun. So, well, first of all, that kind of wraps it up for what we wanted to talk about for Dragonbane. Overall impressions. What do you say?
I definitely say give it a shot. And if you have a group of people that have never played a TTRPG before and you want to like introduce them to 5e, I think honestly Dragonbane is a perfect place to start, or just continue and keep for the long haul. Like if you just want to introduce someone to TTRPG, you can definitely do it this way. Or if you just want a fresh take on it, a fresh thing with a game from 1982. But if you want a different take, I definitely recommend it. It is. I really enjoyed it. If my party wasn't in the middle of a story arc right now, I'm pretty sure I would be like, guys, let's start a Dragonbane campaign and try it out.
Yeah, at least a short one. No, I love it as well, and I'm seriously considering using it maybe for my oldest son who's been wanting to play a TTRPG, and he wants to play D&D, but I don't know. I think I might do this. It could also be great for someone who's like, well, I don't want to play D&D because like everyone plays D&D, or maybe it's they consider
D&D has
it,
a little bit of a negative
Pathfinder
connotation in some cultures too.
It does too, absolutely.
Yeah.
So and being family friendly and being Christians, there's a lot of people that don't want you to, like, maybe if you're kids, you don't want your parents don't want you to play D&D because it has those negative connotations. So but this is a good fantasy alternative for that. It's called Dragonbane. So but anyway, I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, if you are interested in all, go check out on YouTube Rundown Actual Plays. That's the channel. And check out our Dragonbane playtest. So it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
But again, we talked about Christian because we are family friendly and Christian based. and we are partnered with Love Thy Nerd, which is a fantastic organization that exists to bring the love of Jesus to nerds and nerd culture. They have
Amen.
amazing ministries. They go to conventions, they play board games. They're just all around cool people who are friendly, and we're not going to press our beliefs on anyone, but we are going to show love to everyone, and and have conversations, have cool conversations. So,
Oh, yeah.
special shout out to Frostbite, Luke,
Ross
and
is a legend.
Radio Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Frostbite has been a friend of ours for a long time, but he was the one that was like, "Hey, what if you guys did it with Love Thy Nerd?" And because we were doing this podcast, and we said, "Yeah, that's fantastic."
Dude, let's do it.
And then Radio Matt is the man behind the mic. He is in charge of all the podcast and radio stuff, and he is a legend. He's awesome. So special shout out to you guys. You're amazing.
Yeah. And if you guys, listeners or watchers, if you want to go learn more about Love Thy Nerd and what all we do, go to lovethynerd.com. Tons of amazing resources and
absolutely
so many podcasts and shows and things like that on there. Trust me, there's a ton on there to go check out.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. This, again, is episode 3, and it's our review of Dragonbane, so definitely go check it out. We had a lot of fun with it, and thanks for listening. So, again, from our table to yours, thank you for joining us on the RPG Rundown.
Until next time, may your rolls be epic and your stories legendary.